It's the final chapter of the college football playoff.
It comes down to this.
Miami's unmatched grit and tenacity through the postseason has led them home. The national title now within reach.
They are confident. They are battle-tested.
Undefeated Indiana, led by Chris Signetti and Heisman winner Fernando Mendoza, have the chance to take home their first title and claim college football immortality.
The most remarkable turnaround in the history of college football.
The College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T. Monday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN and the ESPN app.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire an energy vampire. But also they're a literal vampire. And suddenly my team is spending all their time sharpening wooden stakes and buying bulk silver and rehearsing ancient chants, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant takes insights from over 1 billion professionals to create a short list of the best fits for you. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
New Year, same extra value meals at McDonald's. So now get 2 snack wraps, plus fries, and a medium soft drink for just $8.
For limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Hawaii, Alaska, and California, and for delivery.
Welcome to No Question About That. This is United In-Car Finance Pod, as ever with Jamie, Subprime Goals on the socials. How's it going, Jamie?
The endorphins are kicking in. It's like the Super Bowl or the Champions League final for football finance when United report their full year results. Yeah, plenty of stuff to jump into.
Certainly is. Sir Jim has got a bit of a semi going on today because it's good news for him, I would say. If we're analysing his performance, or his team's performance, or maybe both here. But so the headline, record revenue for Manchester United on the full year 25 financial results, 666 million and change, sign of the Devils, maybe. There you go. Very strong commercial performance, new sponsorship deals kicking in, very strong match day performance, the record match day. That will be to do with the very long Europa League run and very aggressive full year guidance for 26. We'll get into the details of all of that and whether we believe it or not, or what they've got up their sleeve. So, yeah, what's your initial feelings?
Yeah, look, I think, the full year results, we somewhat knew what they were thanks to the raised guidance from the last set of results. But look, I think it's a reflection of the financial strategy that Sir Jim, Omar, et al. Put in place kind of at the end of last year.
Ago, yeah.
And I've been talking quite frequently in the terms of almost like this is a kitchen sinking job. So you're really kind of gutting the business side of things and arguably the men's first team squad to kind of set the platform to rebuild everything going forward. So, in finance terms, people will talk about minimum viable product, that sort of stuff. I don't think they cut that deep, but there was clearly big cuts that were made. And I think these results, there are some positive things to point at, but I think also we're not out of the woods, right? Like the financial machine that United have generated over the years is still there. It's not guaranteed that will continue forever. However, we are in a position where I think now we're kind of like the more good things that happen around the men's first team, the more leverage that provides finance. So
for sure,
I think it's encouraging. There are a few things to pull out in the guidance, which those who are interested in, not necessarily transfers, but speculation that may be out there. But I think, look, solid, moving in the right direction, not out of the woods.
Yeah, so the football performance is very much our financial floor at the moment. It's going to drive everything this season and the season afterwards, of course, because very much this guidance being very bullish does sort of depend on us creeping into the higher league places. There's, what is there, £3.5 million per place in the Premier League. And then we have to think about European revenues, sponsorship uplift, depending on which European competition we're in. Champions League might be a bit aggressive this season, but we'll see. and so on and so on and so on. So talk about that guidance, because it is very bullish based on strong underlying financials, debt aside.
Yeah.
Because that hasn't really changed. But strong financial performance in your three buckets of match day, broadcast kind of flat, commercial, best ever. But guiding of really only a £20 million loss, 640 million they're guiding for next financial year. Feels aggressive with no European football.
Yeah, so look, they've guided on two things. You talked about the revenue and also the EBITDA, so the profit and proxy for cash flow. So taking the revenue element first, this is way higher than I was expecting. I was at around about 600 million. As you say, because of no European football, there's been some sponsorships that we know have been lost. I think the most interesting element of this is that the company, United, have actually said they are expecting a slight uplift in broadcasting revenues from the Premier League to offset the absence of no European football. So we know that the prize money, well, I say we know, we can approximate that the prize money from the Europa League last year was kind of around £30 million, maybe a little bit higher.
Yeah.
On the basis that each Premier League place in the table is worth an additional 3.5 to 4 million revenue. In order to offset that, it doesn't take a genius to work out that you probably need to be increasing your league position by about 7 or 8 positions.
Mm-hmm.
That gets you to 6 or 7, which is pretty consistent with what Omar Berrada had said in interviews earlier on this year, that, the next 3 years that we're benchmarking our financials on being in the Europa League. I think that will inevitably have some implication for what happens with Ruben Amorim.
Yep.
I think at the very least, and this is probably a slightly optimistic spin, he needs to be showing pretty quickly a trajectory of reaching 6 or 7. I think underlying statistics, etc., those pointing in the right directions will be fine for a period of time. There will be a point when, people will say, well, look, in order to hit our financial goals, EBITDA guidance, etc., which has implications longer term for the overall club, this actually has to change.
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's on two fronts, isn't it? It's £5 million a game in matchday revenue-ish, or something like that. So cup runs matter, not that we have much opportunity for that this season, but also that's coming out of the matchday revenue for this financial year.
Yeah.
Because there's no Europa League football, and that was a lot of fixtures last season. And as you say, £3.5-ish million per place. Facility fees matter there, so how many games Sky decide to put on will matter the second half of the season. Manchester United tend to have a lot of games, but if we're crap, won't be the headline billing. And all of that kind of stuff, they all matter. So football performance really does matter. And then the next financial year after that, because that'll kick in July onwards, so next season, if there's no European football because we finished 10th, that's really going to have a kicker on the future financial performance. Maybe Sir Jim wants that because it'll drive the share price down, although there is a floor on that purchase price with the Glazers. But it really would, because the aggressive guidance and then missing out on that would have a significant performance. I mean, it kind of feels like United's financial performance is built on sand a little bit at the moment, right? So they're being very bullish because they've structurally changed the finances significantly, both on the playing side and with non-talent staff at the club. But bad performance on the pitch is going to have a very serious financial impact on the club.
Yeah, and look, it might sound weird to say, I like the setup, right? It's for years we've been in this position where we've had, some leaders talking about how United's commercial performance is entirely separate to the on-pitch performance. We're now not in that case. Now, look, yes, there are risks associated with that. However, if you want everyone to be incentivized by one thing, as a fan, you want it to be incentivized by the team performing. Now, I think there's going to be say the worst did happen with Amorim, the thing that I'm looking at is the decision that is then made next. Like, how much faith is this new structure going to have in their own strategy and their own decision making? That to me is the biggest test of anything, because when we talk about cycles and wanting to break the cycle, all of that sort of stuff, those are the decisions that actually decide that. And look, whether it's with Amorim or not, I would love him to stay, because comes across as a good guy and like he's clearly got talent. But irrespective of that, there needs to be some faith in this strategy, because if there's not, well, then we're back to where we were probably 2 years ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, in fact, very poor performance again this season. Not only will get the coach fired at some point, but would undo a lot of the financial restructuring, in a sense, because, you know, you can cut 40-50 million pounds a year out of the budget by firing everyone. If you don't make that up, if you lose that again by not performing on the pitch, finishing 15th again next season, and no European football the season afterwards, big financial problem, and you've basically undone everything you've achieved at great pain as well. So it really does matter. I mean, report out today, take it with a pinch of salt, of course, because Football Reporter's saying that United will be due his full contract. Basically, he only had a 3-year contract anyway, Amorim, but another £12 million or so if they fire him before his first anniversary, and there's some kind of clause as a lesser penalty if it's after the first anniversary. So look for, what is it, November the 11th, I think he joined in. If you're an Amorim out person, just for the record, I am not, so that it's not based on anything other than he seems like a nice bloke. Because the performance on the pitch is terrible. All right, what about debt at the moment? Like, what's the headline on debt?
Yeah, so look, the long-term debt is unchanged. You know, no pay down to that, entirely as expected. We know from the last set of results that United did dip into the revolving credit facility, aka the credit card. That was confirmed in today's press release. So they've drawn down to around about 160 million out of the 300 million. So 140 left. What we don't yet know is whether, or the precise details around what's happened with the credit facility after the 30th of June. We should find that out in the next day or two when the full annual report is out. I'm expecting that to have increased overall.
Add that as a footnote.
Exactly. Exactly. So look, the overall debt position, it's still as it was. We don't yet know transfer payables, but that's probably going to have gone up significantly post this set of results because of the transfer spending. So look, it's still an issue. The debt, in my eyes, is going to have to be restructured at some point. I would expect it to come when there is a change to the overall capital structure. The underlying results, as we stand here today, Fid United self-fund and self-pay that debt back? Probably not. You know, you need the football team to drive performance in order to kind of improve that EBITDA guidance. So it's still a challenging position, not insurmountable, but this set of results won't do anything to appease people that are worried by it.
And one thing about the financial status as we see it, I mean, to your point about could United self-fund paying this debt? I mean, imagine that we were in the Champions League again. I mean, off into a very, very imaginary land at the moment, but imagine we were and reaching the latter stages. That is £100 million additional on top of these financial results, and you would be in a very strong financial position. In fact, United would almost certainly be the most profitable club in the world, which is the stated goal. So we can see here that the financial health of the club is so intrinsically tied to the performance on the pitch now, because, well, I guess I'd been saying for years, have we capped out our commercial ability? This has proven that is not true. I mean, there's very strong commercial results, but this is not hockey stick growth on commercial. It is still just ticking up and probably ticking up with the rest of the football world as well. There is stuff left on the table still. There is not a sleeve sponsor. There is a sleeve sponsor, sorry. There's not a training kit sponsor. There's not a training ground sponsor. That could be 30 to 40 million pounds a year. If you look at Manchester City's new deal with Etihad, yes, take it with a pinch of salt, being signed off. They came to some kind of entente cordiale there, the Premier League and Manchester City over this one, but that is a very healthy sponsorship. It looks about £20 million a year for the training ground. That does set a market benchmark if Ineos Grenadiers wanted to sponsor a training ground somewhere. I keep saying it, Jim. If you're listening, pull your wallet out. One thing we didn't mention yet, profitability. I mean, there is a loss, right? There's an accounting loss in here. But the path to profitability, actual profitability, not just cash profitability, so accounting profitability as well, is there. How much that actually matters really is kind of moot because United are not in a PSR. Well, if you look at this, they're not really in a PSR problem. New cycle this year, so it will be quite aggressive with the purchases they've made. But as we mentioned on the last pod, they're almost net, not quite, but per annually, given the sales that are coming for Rashford, maybe Højlund, probably, and so on.
AI is incredible. It can teach you how to fry an egg and even write a poem, pirate style. Yarr! But it knows nothing about your work. Slackbot is different. It doesn't just know the facts. It knows your schedule. It can turn a brainstorm into a brief. And it doesn't need to be taught. Because Slackbot isn't just another AI. It's AI that knows your work as well as you do. Visit slack.com/meet Slackbot to learn more.
The world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
It's football season, and you can now get almost anything you need for game day delivered with Uber Eats. What do we mean by almost? Well, you can't get a running back delivered, but you can get baby back ribs delivered. A strong defense? No. A strong deodorant? Yes. A six-pack of abs? Nope. Six-pack of beer? Yes. Get almost anything for game day delivered with Uber Eats, official on-demand food delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Alcohol 21 plus and in select cities. Product availability varies by region. See app for details.
Yeah, and actually on that point, it hasn't got picked up on, I don't think, by many people, but United booked profit on sales of nearly 50 million. Second highest in the club's recent history. I know it's probably not where any of us wanted to be. And if you looked at the realised value of some of these players that have moved on, you could argue it could be higher. But the one thing that actually I think is quite interesting is if I have got this right, and I haven't memorised the full release yet, it looks like in this final quarter there was about £10 million of profit on disposals. I think that will be coming from the Jadon Sancho penalty fee. There's probably some add-ons there for Scott McTominay. I still need to do like my back of the envelope maths. I think there may also be something in there for Anthony Elanga, which for those who are of a Nottingham Forest and Angelos Marinakis persuasion, that's important for their PSR position as well.
Mm-hmm. Yes. I mean, I wouldn't say he was a mob boss of a football owner, but, you know, some people have. Check his history, is what I'd say. Yeah. And what else is coming on the transfer front that we know? I mean, the Højlund deal will almost certainly activate based on the obligation, which will be Champions League qualification, so almost certainly activate in this financial year, which is an important thing to state. Marcus Rashford, there is no obligation on there. It's an option. When would Barcelona trigger it? Presumably that is before the 1st of July as well, one would have thought. We don't know the contract status there, but let's assume so. And then, well, I don't know. If anyone was watching Real Madrid versus Marseille last night, you might be looking very keenly at Mason Greenwood. How's he doing? Got an assist there. Good performance for about an hour. Then he very much dropped off. That is not unfamiliar for those watching Mason, but there's a very large sell-on clause with that one. Might have also noted, just while we're talking about footballers, just how good Alvaro Fernandez Carreras was. It really does look like a Champions League quality player. What were you thinking, Eric? Come on, man. That's £50 million of value we've left on the table there.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a few things to look at on the transfer front with clauses that will activate and so on in the coming financial year too, basically.
Yeah. And I think one thing actually we didn't touch on the revenue side of things is like, where is this upside coming from? Because we talked about it in previous podcasts, but, you know, there are multiple negative impacts to revenue beyond not being in Europe and fewer matches. Yeah, you do have a number of sponsorship deals which are rolling off. Now, that being said, we've signed some deals recently to offset it, but I don't think that it's kind of an equivalent amount.
Yeah, I think. Well, let's remind us what the new deals were. There's a deal with Coca-Cola. There's a deal with an analytics company, a fintech. Sorry,
yes,
whose name I always forget.
Soakin,
that's it.
Yeah,
very good. Soaking in money we are. And Parimatch, the betting company.
Yes.
Yeah. So, but we did lose the Aeon sponsorship of the training ground some time ago.
Tezos.
And Tezos of the train kit, sorry. Yeah. Yep. Which really does matter because that is a healthy one, that one. And I'm sure that Mark Armstrong is out there pitching this as hard as possible. Bit hard to do it when you're losing every week, Ruben. Just saying, mate, come on.
If you want more budget, you need to get the team performing better.
Exactly.
It's a pretty easy message for Omar Berrada and Jason Wilcox to give. But yeah, like the one thing that the club pointed to is improved retail merchandising revenues. Now, unless there is sponsorship deals that are coming down the line that they haven't mentioned in this, that must be some pretty serious uplift to be able to kind of offset the number of negative revenue drivers that are out there in the market. And, you know, look, operationally, it's a sign that there's a lot of untapped potential, as you mentioned, still on the table when we're not performing that well. And as you say, it's something for Mark Armstrong to point out to potential partners as well, right? Like, if you're driving all of this traffic to your website, to your app, etc., pretty good engaged customer base for sponsors to advertise to.
Yeah, it has been United's pitch for over a decade now that they are a media company. That's true to some extent, right? They are a media property that is sold by other people.
Yeah.
In here, I didn't see a line item for Manchester United TV. I think they've kind of long given up on that being a mega revenue driver. It's very, very niche content if you like that kind of thing. But the website and the United Direct commercials are doing well. I'm assuming the mega store is pumping all the time with people buying new shirts and so on. I'm not wearing it today, but the new third kit is very good. Of course, I'm sure that's a strong seller this year. Although on merch, I mean, there is a ceiling there, isn't there? Because obviously the big merchandising piece, the shirt sales, we get probably 7 or 8% on top of whatever is sold, because there's a hard limit on the amount that's given by Adidas, and then a percentage on top for each sale. United tend to sell 2 to 3 million per year, which, if you look at the fan base, it's a small percentage. How much pirate gear is out there and fans are buying that, it's debatable. Obviously an issue. How much piracy is affecting on the broadcast side of things, debatable. But obviously the Premier League as a collective looks at very strongly, encouraging the powers that be to go off and arrest major pirators. We wouldn't use those kind of services, Jamie, would we? This disgraceful stuff. Yeah.
No, I get to go to the games whenever I can.
Very good.
Avoid those pesky pirate sites at all costs.
So what do we look for in the next few days? You said the full financial report will be out, and it normally does the press release today to guide the market, and then the full financials come out with an annual report in a few days' time.
Yeah, so in that annual report, I'm going to be looking at probably three things. The post-balance sheet events, which will tell us a little bit more about the transfer spend, can give us an indication of where that kind of profit number is going to land at in terms of profit from sales, and then also cash flow implications. The other big thing is transfer receivables and payables. That will be going up pretty significantly, and pairing that with the cash flow is going to be a tricky and potentially fun task. It's really playing to my nerdy tendencies. But those are the things that I'm going to be looking at. I'm also going to be looking at, bearing in mind this kind of revenue guidance, what they are talking about in terms of other cost investments into the business and where that is going. So, I mentioned earlier, the revenue guidance was well ahead of what I was expecting, but the EBITDA guidance, the profit number, was pretty much bang on what I'd forecast. So that means there is cost, at least versus where I was expecting, there is cost being spent somewhere in the business. Now, from what we understand about the transfer activity, the men's first team wage bill will come down again this season. So that means it's going somewhere. Is it other operating costs? Is it investments into these kind of, foundational pillars of what we're trying to build long term, or what we're being told we're trying? So that's going to be, I think, a key thing. I think, sometimes we forget that the data element of our football operations, it's been talked about by Sir Jim in the past about how it's, I can't remember the exact terminology, maybe prehistoric, or, basically we're really far behind. And obviously we've got Michael Sansoni, who's come in from Mercedes to help lead and drive change there. That is going to take investment, whether it's more people, whether it is the right sort of data. I'm looking for signs that we're doing that, because the reality is that is also going to drive the on-pitch performance. At the moment, according to Sir Jim, we're being guided by Jason Wilcox's eyes, and that may be part of the reason why some of our transfer moves to some people are like a little bit strange. So we need to kind of continue to keep that engine moving and turning in the right direction too.
Yes. Unlike Brighton, we do not have our own data analytics company, Jamestown Group. They're at Brighton. They will not sell us their data. United do use third-party data companies. I know that, more than one, in order to do some of this search. I mean, if you remember a few years back, Ed Woodward claimed that we'd looked at 800 right-backs before signing Aaron Wan-Bissaka. That was because they had 21st century's data, and they were just looking at that. I mean, so it is one thing getting third-party analysis, having your own data science team, as you say, with some PhDs and other high-quality assets that are much in demand, is expensive to build. But I'm sure they were looking at that when they were thinning out the employment status of the club, and it will be an important factor. I don't know whether we'll get any other more capital infrastructure spend, right?
Yep.
So that was 50 million odd in the past year. So Jim pumped that money in. We've seen the opening of the new training centre at Carrington. Looks very fancy and nice. Big sofas, pool tables, PlayStations and so on. All the things that a young footballer might need and so on. No bar in there. Very sad, that one. You'd think.
Oh, it's hairdressers.
Hairdressers, yeah. But a post-match snifter, no. It's apparently not allowed. Not in my day. Brian Robson would have started drinking on a Sunday and stopped on a Thursday.
Wasn't it also like that? Maybe this might have been cricket actually. Like milk and Coke was also a post-match beverage to apparently give you more energy.
Yeah.
Or just expand your stomach uncontrollably.
Yes, but I mean, unless they accelerate their plans for a new stadium, they're not going to be breaking ground on anything in the next year or so. That timeline of 5 years out looked very aggressive. still it's very aggressive. So we don't expect any major infrastructure spend in the next year or so. So yeah, we'll be looking in the next couple of days for that full year report. Headlines: strong top line financial performance, record revenues overall, record commercial overall, broadcast okay. That will go down a little bit this year, and we're looking for some of the details on exactly why they're only guiding for 20 to 30 million pounds fewer in top line revenues in the coming year. For the next one, all right, I think that's it.
I think we've covered everything.
Very good. All right, well, Sir Jim, your strategy is working for the moment. Ruben, you need to pull your finger out, mate, because that November whatever deadline for getting fired is looming very soon.
Sorry, side question. After the Liverpool game, how many fixtures are there until the 1 year anniversary?
Very good. Let's have a very quick look at that one to find out.
Because
it's 3 or 4, I think. I think the 1 year anniversary comes right in the middle of the next international break. That will get people speculating feverishly. All right. So November the 8th is the Spurs game. Then we go into the international break. Then it's Everton after that. So we've got Sunderland at home, away to Liverpool. So after Chelsea, this weekend. Oh, Chelsea, Brentford, Sunderland, Liverpool, Brighton, Forest, then the Spurs game, then the international break.
Okay, so after Liverpool, got Brighton, Forest and Spurs.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
That's people will be looking at. Jamie, I'll bid you farewell. Have a very good day checking the financials in even more detail.
Thank you very much, Ed. Good stuff.
Thank you very much, everyone. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. Press the button so we retain you, or on the apps, or you can find us on patreon.com/NQATpod for bonus material. Jamie's Substack is excellent, goes into more detail. Mine it's stuff, complaining about Ruben Amorim's treatment of Cobby Mainoo. Free the Cobby one is that's my latest piece, but we'll see you all there. Bye now.